Hey, what's up guys? So I'm going to be talking about that new card for that Jinzo support, Jinzo Jacker, because I've been doing a lot of playtesting, seeing if this card could actually be viable in the meta, and I'll explain all my choices and reasons and my thought process in just a moment. But let's go ahead and read the card's effect first off, because this is an old card that was super strong back in the day, Jinzo, and it's kind of cool that we're seeing some more support for our back in the old day cards, kind of like the Blue Eyes and the Jinzo. I think it's just really cool. But anyways, Jinzo Jacker, level 4, 800 attack, 2000 defense, and his effect is this monster's name becomes Jinzo while it's face up on the field or in the graveyard. You can tribute this card to add one Jinzo monster from your deck to your hand, except for the same copy of itself, and then you get to reveal all set cards in your opponent's spell and trap zones. And if there were any trap cards revealed, you can special summon any number of Jinzo monsters from your hand up to the number of trap cards revealed. You can only use this effect once per turn. I think this is really cool. I like the utility that it has. Just be like, oh, I'm going to summon this card, you have back row, and then if nothing is getting rid of basically this card, I'm just going to be able to get a Jinzo out, and I know exactly what the heck your back row is. So I think that is really cool. I like the utility that it has. But as far as the metagame, I mean, at the moment in the TCG, what is legal right now, because the Clees are not actually legal yet, I would say Burning Abyss, Shaddoll's, and Stone Knights are probably going to be the strongest decks right now that are legal. And as far as what this deck does, these decks can already kind of deal with it. I mean, Shaddoll's, obviously, they don't really care too much about having a Jinzo on board. I mean, they can't activate the Sinister Shadow games, but for the most part, I would say most players will just activate their trap card as soon as Jinzo Jacker is summoned. So that is also something to take into consideration. This is not an effect that when it's summoned, it's just a, you can just tribute the card. So I feel like if it was able to be activated as soon as it was summoned, that would kind of change certain things. You know, priority doesn't exist in the game other than player turn priority. But the thing is, as far as Jinzo coming out in the game, and if you don't know what Jinzo does, let me briefly read it, because it is an older card, and this card used to be super meta back in the day. It says that trap cards and their effects on the field cannot be activated to negate all trap card effects on the field. So basically it shuts down your opponent's back row. Being able to just go for you know, Jinzo Jacker, and then seeing all of your opponent's back row, then getting a monster with 2400 attack that makes it so your opponent can't use stuff, is relatively strong in the game. Now, one thing that I have a problem with is that once Jinzo Jacker is summoned, if they have any things to answer with Jinzo Jacker, they're just going to do it immediately, and then, you know, you can't, you know, priority tribute. So I really feel like that's lackluster. I feel like it would have been much better immediately after, or like your opponent can't respond to this card's effects, or your opponent can't respond to this card's normal summon, and it got an effect as soon as normal summon, it would activate or something like that. Because the problem that I see with this is that they're just going to activate their trap cards as soon as Jinzo Jacker is summoned. Now, I briefly do want to mention, back in the day, well, not even back in the day, I would say more recently, well, this is back when Future Fusion was still a legal card, there was a player that talked with a Jinzo deck, and he abused Jinzo Returner. It was able to just dump a bunch of monsters in the graveyard, and then you'd be able to get out a bunch of Jinzos, and, you know, with Jinzo out, your opponent can't really respond with anything, because Book Moon is only at 1. I think a lot of players have kind of cut out Book Moon. Regeki is still a thing in the game, but Jinzo is just, it's very lackluster compared to what it used to be. I feel like with all the hand traps now in the game, and there's so many other cards that just triumph over Jinzo. And the thing is, like, if there's already a stronger monster on board, 2400 isn't the strongest thing in the game. And it doesn't, like, stop special summons. And, like, one of the most important cards in the game, once you get out your strong monster, usually in most scenarios, is going to be Vanity's Emptiness. Like, you get out your strong monster, and then you activate Vanity's Emptiness so your opponent cannot play. And you can't really use that with Jinzo, unless you're going to go Amplifier. Which I can show you this card. This card over here, Amplifier. So you equip to a Jinzo, and it says that when this card is equipped, the equipped monster's effect does not negate the effects of its controller's trap card. So basically, it allows you to, you know, activate Vanity's Emptiness. But Vanity's Emptiness plus Jinzo, I mean, still in this game, I feel like there's so many other things that can just get rid of that, because of, like, we have the Shaddol, like the Squamata or the Shaddol Lizard. There's just so many things I feel like in the game where they just, like, don't care too much about that. Or like Regeki and Dark Hole are usually, well, Regeki more so now in the main deck. A lot of players have been side decking Regeki also, but I just feel like it's just too lackluster. It's not strong enough to make it viable in the game. But I mean, if you have Jinzo and Vanities and Amplifier, then I mean, it's so conditional. that it requires a lot, and you might just have like some brick hands. But I really think that the Monarch Stormforth can definitely add to the deck, and being able to get rid of your opponent's monster and then just going for Jinzo and then securely attacking is not that bad. And I feel like the Jinzo deck main decks multiple like effect veilers. I think that can be much more effective, because a lot of times even if you have Jinzo, they're just going to go make something and then they're going to get rid of Jinzo. So if you have effect veiler, it can definitely be better. Maybe a chaos version of Jinzo deck would be an acceptable version if they get more support, but at the moment I just feel like it's too lackluster. But Jinzo Returner is not a bad card also. You can attack your opponent directly, then when it's sent from the graveyard, it doesn't have to be sent from the field of the graveyard. Anywhere from the graveyard, you can special summon one Jinzo from your graveyard. So this card actually right here, you guys read it, that it counts as Jinzo while it's in the graveyard. So that's really cool. They're able to like bring back this card, then tribute it, get a Jinzo from their deck, and then being able to just get out a Jinzo is kind of nice, but like I said, kind of lackluster for like the meta of the game right now. I also want to mention really quickly, Black Salvo can definitely work in the deck, because Black Salvo into Jinzo Jacker definitely is a thing, because you're able to make Black Rose or maybe Moonlight Rose Dragon perhaps when that comes out, or just any level 7. Your Dark Strike Fighter even. Let me go show you Dark Strike Fighter. I mean, we did get a reprint of Dark Strike Fighter. I think Dark Strike Fighter is 2 words. Okay, Dark Strike Fighter. It did get a errata in the OCG, and it did get reprinted in the TCG. I don't know if we got that rewording in the TCG though, but I'll have to double check on that. But I mean, its errata is that you can only use its effect once per turn. But the thing is, in any machine-based deck, we always have that free potential for that free win with limiter removal. And I mean, maybe your opponent is playing Burning Abyss. They got a bunch of back row. Maybe for whatever reason they weren't able to throw up a first turn Dante or something like that. You're able to just go straight into multiple Jinzos. Let's say for whatever reason they have just bottomlesses and just things that they can't activate as soon as Jinzo Jacker is summoned. Then you just get all the Jinzos. They have, you know, obviously if they have multiple back row, you draw some Jinzos. You're able to just drop multiple Jinzos, maybe combo it with like a limiter removal. You're looking at like an OTK, but I really feel like the deck is just not strong enough with just one card for support. I feel like Jinzo definitely needs way more support. And also, as far as the Burning Abyss matchup goes, I mean, they can still just make any rank 3 to deal with Jinzo, and I feel like that's kind of like Burning Abyss at the moment, I would say, is the only meta deck that runs a ton of traps. Most players are just doing like triple vanities, and that's pretty much about it. Maybe triple vanities like bottomless, compulse, like warning. That's pretty standard, I would say, for most decks. But Burning Abyss can still technically play against a Jinzo, as long as they have like one monster. That's all they really need. Then they can search out Tour Guide. Then from there, they can just go into like a Dante and then go over, run over the monster. Or they can make that other card, the new Virgil. The Satellar Knights, they play a ton of traps also. And they're just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead Altair and then go ahead and make like 101, or they can make Castle. There's just so many options for both of these decks that would normally play a little bit more traps than I would say Shadal's. Shadal is probably the only meta deck I would say that doesn't really rely on too many traps other than like the triple vanities. But these decks already deal with it, and as far as what's coming out in the game, I mean, the Klees and the Naklas, they don't care about the traps too much as far as what they want to play. I mean, obviously traps can wreck them, but they usually don't care too much about playing traps in their main deck. So I feel like, I mean, maybe the Klees will play the like the Skill Drain, that's pretty popular, but some of them are doing like Chalice and stuff like that. But for the most part, I just feel like there's just not enough for Jinzo to make a huge comeback with just this card. But let me know, what other combos can you guys think of, maybe like other than like the Black Salvo? I think Black Salvo was just an old like fan favorite card. Like there was a deck called Salvo Dark Arm, which was pretty cool deck with like Dekoichi. I'll show you this card real quick. Dekoichi, the Battle Enchanted Locomotive, and it was just really cool that you're able to, like first turn it was like set Dekoichi, you flip, you draw a card, then you summon the Salvo, you go for Black Rose. So it was a deck that got a lot of free advantage early on in the game, and it's kind of cool that we will be able to play Black Salvo again. But as far as it being meta, maybe guys, legitimately, if Darkholm goes to 3, we could maybe see the return of something. Because I feel like if you're able to drop because either way you're gonna get one monster in the graveyard. Maybe if you're able to like dump, you know, something that you can normal summon, the tribute to special summon like Jinzo Jacker or something like that. where you can just dump multiple monsters in the graveyard and then summon a Jinzo and then summon a Dark Arm behind it, then you're looking at something that can potentially just put up, like, you know, more than half of your opponent's life points, and if they don't respond next turn, you just win the game. But that might be just a little bit too OP if Dark Arm goes to multiple in the TCG. They already did it in the OCG, and then they took it back because they're like, guys, we can't have it. But it'd be kind of cool to see what other support we get for Jinzo, because at the moment, let me show you guys. We have Jinzo, like, well, obviously we have Jinzo, and then there's Jinzo 7, but where is 2, 3, 4, 5? Maybe they're going to release all those numbers, and then we're looking at, you know, a completely different discussion video. But I'd like to know, what are you guys' thoughts on the new Jinzo support? Will you try to main deck it and maybe something as a tech? Because, I mean, there's not enough cards, I would say, to make it a pure Jinzo deck, because, I mean, let's be honest, like, the rest of the Jinzo cards, not the best. Jinzo Lord is just, it's not even that great at all. But like I said, let me know if you guys know any combos with it, and I will definitely try them out. But for the most part, I was doing it on stream, and I did it off stream, and the deck doesn't really do too well. It's just not going to be viable for how fast the game is, and a lot of trap cards just aren't going to be relevant, because you're not going to be activating trap cards either, and he's just too weak to protect himself with only 2,400 attack points. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes out.